Hi there. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can sync your audio between multiple video tracks and also a couple more tips. So first of all, I'm just going to delete everything that I've got in my timeline. So I'm just going to go over to the track headers, right click and select remove track. So the first thing I want to show you is trimming your clips before you actually import them onto your timeline. So if I double click on this one here, just to open it up in the preview, I can actually select a certain portion of it before I drag it into my project. So if I just wanted from this point here at 1 minute 40 to 2 minutes 30, I can simply click and drag this bar at the top here and trim the video clip before I add it to my timeline. So now if I add this to my timeline, you can see there I've just got that snippet. If I want to add another snippet from the same video file, I can go back to source and then choose a different section. So there's actually a shortcut for doing this, and that is using I and O. So if I select the point that I want it to start, I can just press I on my keyboard. So that'll set the in point. And then I can set where I want it to end and press O. Now if I click and drag this one in, we've just got this snippet. So this is a really handy feature if you don't want to drag and drop the whole video file in and then trim it down afterwards. I'm just going to delete these. Next, I'm going to add an audio track in my timeline to show you something. So, at the moment, we've got one video track and one audio track. So if I go back to my source preview, I'm just going to drag this back to the start and to the end so I get the whole video file. Now if I drag this into the project, when I play it back, I'll be able to hear the audio and see the video.
Hi there, in this video we're going to talk.
Now, if I was to move that onto an audio track, we're no longer going to be able to see the video.
How to tune a guitar by ear.
But as you can see there, we can hear the audio. So when you're adding clips onto your timeline, just make sure you choose the right kind of track. So I'm just going to move this back onto my video track and add the other files onto my timeline. So I'm going to add another video track and one more audio track. So first of all, I'm going to drag my audio files onto the timeline. I don't need to preview them as I want to use the whole file, so I'm going to simply click and drag them straight from the playlist. Now, one thing to mention, the video track that is at the top of your project will be the one that you can see. So as soon as I add this video to this top track here, it'll sit on top of the second video. So we'll always be able to hear the audio on each of our tracks, but when it comes to videos, the track at the top will take priority. So this camera 2 is a slightly different resolution to camera 1, so we're actually seeing a bit of camera 1 behind camera 2. This is just because this video file is smaller. Right now I want camera 1 on the top track, so I'm just going to delete video 2, move this one up, and re-import camera 2 onto the timeline. Now, when you're working with multiple files, especially in this situation, when it's one recording and everything needs to be synced up, we need to actually align each of our clips so they're in time with each other. So, to do that, it's really important that when you film your video, you do something like a clap, so then you can use the audio to line each of these tracks up. So I'm going to go back to the start and play back my top video track. So I'm just going to hide and mute the second video track and mute both of the audio tracks. I'm going to zoom in quite a bit now so I can see the audio waveform. Then I'm going to scroll back to the start of my project. Okay, so if I play this back now. Okay, we can see there that these two spikes are the claps. So what I want to do is line up the claps in the other tracks. So camera 2, the claps are here and here. I'll just play them back so you can hear and see them. So I'm going to hide my top track and re-enable the second one. Right, so I'm going to move these two over so they're nicely lined up. I'll do the same with the audio channels. So I'm going to unmute the track. Okay, it's just there. And the same with this last one. I'm going to use the second clap, which is this one here, to line them all up. Now, once you've got them close, I'd recommend zooming right in, just so you can be more accurate. Right, I've actually lined up the second clap on the audio tracks with the first clap on the video tracks, so I'll move them over a bit more. If you haven't already, you may want to expand the view for your timeline using this slider here, just so you can see each of the tracks. Right now, I don't need the preview to be very big. So I'm going to line up the playhead with the top track here. Zoom in one tiny bit more. And then try and line each of them up. So what I want to do is get this first little peak here matched up. You can jump the playhead left and right by single frames using the left and right arrows on your keyboard. Okay, they seem pretty close to me. So now what I'm going to do is unmute each of the tracks and turn on the video footage. Now they should all be playing back at the same time.
Hi there. In this video, we're going to talk about how to tune a guitar by ear. So this is different than using a tuner.
Okay, great. Everything looks and sounds in sync. I'm just going to zoom back out a bit. This time, because I want to zoom out a lot in one go, I'm just going to click on this slider here. Now you'll notice in these video files, they both had their audio tracks. But we've actually got a microphone set up for his voice and for the guitar amp. So I don't need to hear the audio coming from the two cameras. That's just there so it's easy to line up our footage. So you'll notice I've left the two video tracks muted. If I turn them on again,
What we're going to do is we're going to play the strings in a certain way.
it sounds a bit weird because we've got 4 microphones at the same time. So the 2 dedicated microphones are much higher quality than the microphones on the video cameras. So I'm going to leave them muted from now on.
That we're able to compare the sounds of different strings to one another. And once we get them sounding the same, then we know that they're in tune. Now, this means that
Now, something that's really important when you're working with multiple tracks, and that is make sure ripple edits across all tracks is turned on almost all of the time. Because now what I can do is go through and cut out any mistakes, and I only have to work on one track, because the other tracks will all follow. So I'm going to go back to the start, zoom in quite a bit, and go and make the same edits that I did in the previous video. So I want to start it here. So I'm going to select this track at the top, press S, select the section that I'd like to cut out. Again, just make sure you've got ripple edit across all tracks selected. Now when I press X, all of the video clips have been trimmed to the same point.
Hi there. In this video, we're going to talk about how to tune a guitar by ear.
Now I can go to the mistakes at the end. I like to zoom out to quickly jump to the area that I want to work on, and then zoom back in again. If you can't see the playhead, just play your video for a moment, and it'll move to that position on the timeline.
That's it. So slightly out of tune. Okay, so that's it.
So I remember I want to make a cut here, so I'll press S, go to the end of the section.
See you for the next one.
Press S again.
Maybe you can just add, so just remember the pattern, it's 4
Cut out this little section where Thomas was speaking.
on the
Yeah.
B. Is it the B?
Yeah.
So I'll find the point I want to make the cut. Press S again. Then select the section that I want to cut out. I'll just zoom out a little bit this time so you can see the ripple edit. So you notice I've only got the cut on this top track, but as soon as I press X, it's now made the edit across all the tracks.
Okay, and just remember that the pattern for tuning your guitar by ear is 5th fret, 5th fret, 5th fret, 4th fret, and then 5th fret. Okay.
That's what, 5th, 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 4th, 5th.
Yep. 5, 5, 5, 4, 5.
I'm just going to make a couple more edits here really quickly. So cut there. I don't want this bit, so I'm going to delete that.
5, 4, 5. So.
Cool.
When doing this, you don't actually have to select any of the clips to make the edit. It'll automatically make the cut on the top track.
Cool.
So now this section at the end I can delete. Notice if I press backspace there, rather than ripple delete, it's not going to make the edits on the other tracks. So generally, I'd recommend using the ripple edit as it's much quicker. Now, this section here was the ending.
Okay, so that's it.
So I want to move this right to the end. So if I click and drag this top one, you'll notice there it's only going to move that clip from the one track. I'll just press undo. So what I'm going to do is zoom in, scroll over to my edit. Again, make sure you've got toggle snap on, as it's much easier to jump to the right bit. So I'll click here where the edit is. I'm going to zoom right in to make sure the playhead's in the right position. You can see there, that's right on the edit. So now what I can do is select each of these tracks. So I'm going to hold Command and click on each one. And then drag these to the end. Now to close this gap, instead of clicking and dragging each of these over, I'm just going to right click in the space and press remove. Can do the same at the end here and press remove. So what we've done there is quickly edit each of the tracks while keeping them in sync.
Just slightly out of tune. Okay, and just remember that the pattern for tuning your guitar by ear is 5th fret, 5th fret, 5th fret, 4th fret.
So when I played that back, you'll notice that the edits weren't very good. There's quite a long gap between this part and this part.
Slightly out of tune.
So what I'm going to do now is zoom back in and tidy up the edits.
Slightly out of tune.
It may take a bit of time to make these jump cuts seem natural, and sometimes it is impossible, but I'm just going to do what I can very quickly.
Out of tune.
So I want to make the cut there, so I'll press S. Select where I want to do my ripple delete, press X. Play it back and see how it is.
Slightly out of tune. Okay, and just remember that the pattern fret. 5, 5.
Can do the same here. S, select, and then X.
5, 5, 5, 4, 5. So. Yeah, great. Okay, so that's it. So. Yeah, great. Okay, so that's it. So thank you very much for watching this video on how to.
So obviously you can see that the guitarist has moved between each of these clips. So as we've got two different cameras, I can try and make it seem a little less obvious. So you can experiment and delete clips on your top tracks. So for example, between this clip here and this clip here,
5, 5, 5.
I could just delete the main camera and then we'll jump to the view of his hand.
5, 5, 5, 4, 5. So, yeah, great. Okay, so that's it. So thank.
So it's not perfect, but it's a good way to start covering up the mistakes. So I'd recommend you going away now and practicing the editing tips that I've given you on these videos. In the next lectures, I'll be showing you some other editing features, such as using transitions and fades. Thanks for watching.